welcome to my channel, The Danish Readaholic. Today I am going to be doing my February wrap-up. February wasn't the best month for me. Am I losing hope in my reading abilities? Not at all. I just had a rough month and that can happen to anybody. Why did I have a rough month? I honestly don't know. I just wasn't in the mood to read. That has now changed and I'm back in the reading mood, so that is good. Also, I had COVID and that was not fun. And aside from that, I just had a lot of plans in the weekends, like obviously when I didn't have COVID, but in the weekends I did spend most of my time with my friends, my family, etc. And that is basically what I spent my time doing, and I prioritized doing that over reading this month. So the stats are gonna be very quick, which is probably also a good thing. So I think I will scooch to the side and then we're gonna be talking about the stats. Alright, I'm comfortable here. First off, we have the amount of books that I read. I read 3 books this month, which is actually quite well considering that for the last weekend of February I had only read 1. My total page count came to 712. I would have liked it to be higher, obviously, but I also feel like it is great considering that it is a short month, and also I have not been in the mood to read the entire month. Also, I did start on reading A Reaper at the Gates and I wasn't feeling it, so I put that away. So that is also like 100 pages that I didn't get to add. Not that it makes the biggest change, but I did have kind of trouble figuring out which books I wanted to read this month, so I have changed my TBR a million times. There's that. Then we come to the authors. I have 2 that were new to me and 1 that I had read before. In this specific stat, I don't have a preference. It's not that I want the ones that I had read before to be bigger than the other. I would obviously like to read a lot of sequels, but I also at the same time want to discover new stories. So I feel like as long as I do both, I'm good. And that is kind of what I did here. We are now at the star rating, which is boring, so I'm just gonna breeze through it. I had 3 4 stars, which was, well, all of the books. Next one, we have the representation. I had 2 with multiple and then I had 1 with nothing. I do prefer the books to have some kind of representation, and obviously when they have multiple, that is fantastic. The one that had nothing, I understand why it didn't have anything. It is a little bit of an older book and it wasn't as big of a topic back then. I'm not saying it's right, but that was just how it was. It's a Danish book. Honestly, I have not seen that many Danish books have the biggest variety in representation, especially not racial representation, so that is something that probably should be discussed. But the point in this is basically just to see how much representation there is in the books that I read. And so far, I've only had 2 books, I think, overall for the year that had nothing, and they were a part of the same series. So there's that. Then we have the author nationality, 1 Danish, 2 American. I would really like to add some more nationalities to this, but I guess that will be here eventually. Then we have the genre. We have 2 fantasy and 1 contemporary. Who am I? I read a contemporary, but I actually really liked the contemporary, which you would have guessed because all of the books were 4 stars. I'm gonna talk about them when I'm done with the stats. Then we have the type of book. I had 1 standalone and 2 that were a part of a series. There's that. 1 of them was the first in a series and 1 of them was the last in a series. I'm happy about that. For the intended audience, I literally don't know what happened to me this month. I had read 1 contemporary, and on top of that, all of the books that I read were middle grade. So I don't know who I am this month, or who I was last month. It is just not, I haven't been in the mood for middle grades in such a long time, and now it was just all I wanted to read. Then we had the format. I had 1 audiobook and 2 physical. Then we have the sources. All of them were from my own TBR. To be classified in the own TBR, I would have to have bought the books or gotten the books before 2022. So as of right now, nothing is going into hauled, obviously. Finally, we have release. All of these are released before 2022. The first book that I read is Roselille og den lille drage. This is the Danish book that I was talking about, and this is the one that I listened to on audio. I actually decided, when I changed my TBR the first time, I decided to add this, and then when I had finished with changing the TBR, I went and got the 2 puzzles that we had gotten in Fairy Loots, and I sat and did the puzzles while I listened to this, and when I was done with the puzzles, I just was coloring in this coloring book. So I was just relaxing whilst listening to the books, and then I think it was about an hour or so, and then I was finished. I really enjoyed this book, actually. We follow Roselille again and her best friend Silke, and this time they are discovering this dragon. Everybody is scared because it's a dragon and they breathe fire and destroy everything. But then they learn that that is not necessarily how dragons are, and it all depends on what they eat. So eventually, let me see if I can find it. This little dragon, here we go. The little dragon learns to make like fireworks, and he learns to grow flowers and everything. And it is just a really cute story. And I feel like it's very much about not, like, for example, if people think that, oh, you're this type of person, so you have to be like that, it is kind of like breaking stereotypes, but then done in this fantastical way where it's a dragon breaking the stereotype of being big and scary and fiery breath and everything and destructive. But this dragon doesn't want to be, so he does everything he can to change, and then he figures out that he can change, and then ends up being this fantastical being that all of the fairies love because he makes the flowers, he saves the day, and then he actually, like, his parents end up joining him, and it is such a stunning story, actually, and there's so many great themes to this, and a lot to learn, I feel like, at least, even though this is like a really short book. So this is actually one of the books and the book series that I am gonna be keeping and then reading to my nieces when they get to an age where they will understand. That is not yet. Then I read The Mysteric School of Musicraft. Listen, normally I don't like music heavy books. Why? I really don't know, to be honest. I really don't know. It's because it tends to be very heavy on like the, I don't know, the terminology of music, I guess. I feel like that is always very heavy. It is heavy in this as well, but it is also a middle grade, so it's not so heavy that an 11-year-old wouldn't understand. And apparently that is the level of music I need. This was really beautiful, and I feel like the magic system in this is very unique. So basically, Musicraft is where you play music and then that makes magic. And a spell, even though you're using the same melody, can be different whether you speed it up or slow it down. And then we follow Amelia Jones, who then goes to the audition to join the Mysteric School of Musicraft, and it just goes horribly wrong. It goes horribly wrong, and she then goes home and is just sad and depressed because it went horribly. She then gets this acceptance letter from the Mysteric School of Musicraft, and she is beyond excited. So she goes to the school, but when she gets there, something's wrong. She was actually not the right Amelia Jones. There was another one, and something happened to her which made the letter move to the other Amelia Jones, who was also at the audition. She is doing everything she can to prove that she deserves to be at the school. And obviously, a lot of things happen. There is a lot of interesting things in this, and a lot of interesting beings, and let's say there is also some ghosts in here. We love to see it. I love this more than I expected to. Like, I actually love this book. It was really great, really wholesome, really sweet. Another thing that I really liked was that her roommate, Darby, I think were her name, they actually didn't like each other at first. After the book ended, I think they're friends, but they're not like besties. And that is actually something that I really like, because I feel like it's very typical to form that kind of besties friendship with your roommate, but in this case it is just very different. There's a reason for it, but I'm not going to go into it. Another thing that I really like is that even though this has the chosen one trope that I don't like, it is also combined with a very unlikely hero, and that is kind of why I like it, I guess, because even though it is a chosen one and everybody knows from the beginning that obviously Amelia Jones is gonna save the day, but you have the feeling that it is very unlikely that she can save the day. So you're actually in doubt whether or not she will be able to succeed or not. And that is what made it interesting to me, because sometimes when I read the chosen one trope, I'm just like, oh, well, they're gonna save the day. I just know it. I can feel it. They know it. And, you know, there's no doubt. I had my doubts in this. And that is why I like it. And that is why I ended up actually giving it 4 stars. Last book, and then I need to go to bed, is Mary Underwater. Listen, this book. I have no words. That's kind of all I have to say. In this, we follow Mary, who is 13 years old. So this is like an older middle grade. I understand why it's an older middle grade, because this involves child abuse. At the first page, like right here, right there, we're actually told in a content note that this book contains domestic violence and child abuse that occurs off page. So it's not described when it happens, but it is described afterwards. This was tough. This was tough. I loved Mary. She was so sweet. She was so concerned. She was just so great. I loved her friends, Lydia and Kip. They were everything I wanted, but I didn't know I wanted. Especially Kip. Especially Kip. I also love the other characters, like the supporting characters. I don't think, like, aside from her parents, I don't think that there is a single character in this that I don't like. I kind of felt, now bear with me, because obviously I haven't been in the situation. I cannot speak on either Mary's or her mother's behalf, but I did feel a little bad for the mother, and hear me out before you get angry. The mother knew. The mother, she gave her pain medication when her dad had hit her. This happens fairly early in the story, actually, that we experienced the first time. Yeah, the only time that he hits Mary. The mother kind of gives her pills throughout the weekend, so that, like, pain medication, I guess. It was really, really tough for me, because at the end of the story, like, throughout the entire book, I hated the mom, because I was like, why are you putting your child through this? Why are you not, sending her away? Or, not that she should do that, but why isn't she leaving him? But we're told later on that when the mother tried to escape him earlier on, he had taken her wheels on the car. He had, like, slashed the tires, I think, simply so that she couldn't escape. And we're basically, like, the last thing the mother says is that she cannot leave him. I felt so sad that she felt that way. I'm not saying that it is right what she's doing, like, she's not really protecting her child against her husband, I guess, but I do not know what I'm talking about, because I've never been in that situation, luckily, and I just don't know how I would react in that sense, or in that scene. I hope I would react the way I want to, but I don't know I don't know, because I haven't had to make that decision. This is such a strong story. Like, the thing I really like about it is that the center of the story, like, the domestic abuse, isn't the main thing. Well, it is, but it isn't. Because we follow Mary, and she wants to build this submarine to escape her father. Obviously, that is the reason she wants to build it, so in that sense, the domestic violence is very important, obviously, to the topic. But a lot of the story, like, a lot of the story itself unfolds in the whole building process, and a lot of the times I could forget why they were building it. So I like that it is not too heavy on the violence, and we get this fantastic 13-year-old, like, fantastic, ambitious 13-year-old who forms amazing friendships with people, and she's just phenomenal. I'm lost for words, and I think I'm gonna stop here because I'm rambling about this. I gave it 4 stars, and I would definitely recommend. I really, really enjoyed this. Really enjoyed it. I actually also think that this was one of the highest rated books I had on my TBR, and I can see why. I don't know if what I said about Mary Underwater even makes sense, because I'm tired and my back hurts, so I'm gonna stop filming now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you liked this video. Please leave a comment telling me which books you read in February, and also if any of the books that I talked about were any kind of interesting to you. I would actually really like to know. If you like this video, please hit the like icon, and if you want to see more of my bookish content, then please hit subscribe. It would mean the world to me, and I'll see you next time. Bye!